Ryan was a typical 16-year-old teenager who loved playing video games, scrolling through social media, and avoiding anything that required serious effort. His room was always messy, homework piled up on his desk, and deadlines seemed like distant problems that would sort themselves out. Each morning, he promised himself that today would be different, but the pattern never changed. His alarm rang, he snoozed it repeatedly, and the day slipped away before he even started anything meaningful. His parents often reminded him about responsibilities, gently at first, and then with frustration as the reminders went unanswered. They tried to guide him, emphasizing the importance of time, focus, and self-discipline, but Ryan would nod and smile, secretly believing that he still had plenty of time. At school, Ryan's struggles became even more visible. He was bright and capable, but his laziness and lack of planning caused him to fall behind in assignments and exams. Teachers noticed his potential and tried to encourage him, but repeated warnings only seemed to frustrate him. Every failed quiz and missed assignment added to his stress, but Ryan often avoided facing the reality of his situation. Instead, he distracted himself with games, chatting with friends, or scrolling through his phone. The growing tension between what he wanted, success, recognition, pride, and what he was actually doing created an inner conflict that weighed heavily on him. Ryan's friends sometimes teased him about his lack of focus, while others tried to support him, offering study tips or planning advice. But Ryan's habits were ingrained. He would try briefly to change, only to fall back into old routines. He felt the pressure, yet he ignored it, believing that inspiration or luck would eventually rescue him. At night, lying in bed, he experienced moments of doubt and frustration. He compared himself to peers who were disciplined, hardworking, and achieving results. The feeling of being left behind gnawed at him, yet he lacked the tools, strategy, or mindset to make real changes. Conflict intensified when Ryan failed a critical exam, a turning point that forced him to confront the consequences of his inaction. His parents expressed disappointment, not with anger, but with worry and concern for his future. Teachers pointed out how much potential he wasted, and even his friends noticed the difference between his dreams and his reality. Ryan felt the weight of regret, guilt, and frustration all at once. These emotions created a turning point, planting the seed of realization that his life could not continue on autopilot. He had been living in a cycle of excuses, temporary distractions, and wasted time, and now the reality of falling behind hit him hard. The audience witnesses Ryan's struggle vividly, the chaos of his environment, the missed opportunities, and the inner conflict between desire and action. Empathy builds naturally as viewers see themselves in his shoes, recalling their own moments of procrastination or inaction. Emotional tension is high, making viewers invested in what will happen next. By the end of this section, Ryan stands at a crossroads, overwhelmed by the consequences of his habits but starting to sense that change is necessary. The story sets the stage for transformation, showing that self-awareness is the first step toward discipline and success. After hitting rock bottom, Ryan finally realized that nothing would change unless he took responsibility for his own life. The feeling of failure after that critical exam stayed with him, but instead of letting it crush him, he decided it was a wake-up call. He started by making small, simple changes, setting a daily routine, waking up on time, and writing down achievable goals. At first, it was hard. The habits of procrastination and distraction were deeply ingrained, and every day tested his patience and determination. He would sometimes slip back into old routines, feeling the pull of video games and social media, but he reminded himself of how it felt to fail and how much he wanted to succeed. Ryan also began to organize his environment. His room, once cluttered with reminders of neglect, became clean and orderly. His desk was free of distractions, and his school materials were neatly arranged. He realized that discipline was not just about self-control, but also about creating an environment that supported focus and productivity. Each small victory, finishing homework on time, completing a project, or sticking to his schedule, gave him confidence and motivation to continue. The audience witnesses his transformation gradually, understanding that real change takes consistent effort, patience, and perseverance. His parents noticed the changes and expressed pride, which reinforced his commitment. Even teachers began to acknowledge his progress, praising him for effort and consistency rather than only for results. Ryan learned to value encouragement and guidance, realizing that asking for help and accepting advice were part of becoming disciplined. Friends who had once teased him now saw a new side of him, responsible, focused, and committed to personal growth. This recognition created a sense of belonging and validation, fueling his desire to keep improving. The story emphasizes that transformation is rarely instant. Ryan faced small setbacks, a missed deadline, a moment of distraction, but each time he reflected on his goals, adjusted his approach, and persisted. The narration highlights both his struggles and victories, creating emotional resonance with the audience. Viewers feel relief and joy when Ryan succeeds in tasks he previously avoided and pride when he takes ownership of his actions. These moments inspire hope and motivate the audience to believe that they too can overcome habits that hold them back. By the end of this section, Ryan's life has visibly improved. He performs better in school, completes tasks efficiently, and experiences a sense of self-confidence that was missing before. His relationships with family and friends strengthen as they see his dedication and commitment. The story closes with Ryan reflecting on his journey. Discipline is not a punishment but a tool to shape character, achieve goals, and unlock potential. The moral is clear and motivational: consistent effort, self-awareness, and perseverance can transform a chaotic life into one of purpose and success. The audience leaves with a strong sense of inspiration, encouraged to take action in their own lives, and reminded that the journey to discipline is challenging but entirely achievable.